Church bells began before the rain did while 9-year-old Lily Hart stood beneath the stone archway and counted black umbrellas moving toward her father's funeral. She counted 11, then 12. At 13, rain blurred the names carved into the church wall. Lily wiped her glasses and looked for the umbrella she wanted to see. None of them belonged to Mara. The adults had told Lily that Mara was family, though nobody ever said exactly how. She was the woman who had once braided Lily's hair before school, the woman who knew that Lily hated raisins and slept with one foot outside the blanket. She had also been the woman who vanished 5 years ago after an argument with Lily's father. Since then, Mara had existed only in unfinished sentences. Your father did what he had to do. She chose her own life. Some people cannot be trusted. Inside the church, Lily held a small red wooden bird against her ribs. Her father had carved it when she was 6. She had hidden it in her pocket because Aunt Celia said the funeral was not a place for toys. Lily, Celia called from the steps. Come inside. People are waiting. People were always waiting when Celia spoke. For Lily to stand correctly, speak softly, stop fidgeting, stop asking questions. Celia took her elbow before she reached the door. Your collar, Celia whispered. It's choking me. Your father would want you to look presentable. Celia pulled the collar straight anyway. Try not to make a spectacle, he said. I'm not. You were crying outside. It was raining. The minister spoke about Thomas's kindness and his years teaching law. Lily knew different things. The jar of buttons beside the sewing basket, the hall light he always left on, the humming that had stopped during the last month of his life. When the minister invited the family to share memories, Celia rose first. Thomas believed in responsibility, she said. He understood that family must protect its own, even when difficult choices are required. Her eyes found Lily. A murmur moved through the pews. Lily lowered her face. The red bird pressed into her palm. Celia continued. He also believed children need stability. We intend to honor that belief. Lily did not understand why the words felt like a door closing. After the service, people gathered beneath the awning. They hugged Lily without asking permission. An old woman touched her cheek and said, Poor thing. Denise whispered that Thomas had made a terrible error in judgment years ago. Lily heard the word orphan 3 times. The third time came from Grant. He was standing beside the flower arrangements, talking to a lawyer with silver hair. The lawyer held a leather folder and kept glancing toward Lily. She has no one, Grant said. Thomas left everything tangled. The house, the accounts, the girl. We'll have to sort it out. She can hear you, Lily said. Grant turned. You should be with Aunt Celia. You said I have no one. You're a child. You don't understand adult conversations. I understand words. Denise gave a small laugh. That sharp little mouth is exactly why your father worried about you. Lily looked at the silver-haired lawyer. Are you my father's lawyer? My name is Elias Reed, he said. His voice was gentle, but not soft. Yes, Lily. Did he leave me anything? Celia stepped between them. This is not appropriate. Elias's eyes rested on Lily's hand. The red bird showed between her fingers. Your father left instructions, he said. Very specific instructions. Grant shifted closer. We'll meet at the house tomorrow. No, Elias replied. The reading will take place in court. The rain struck the awning like handfuls of thrown stones. That night, Lily slept in her father's study. The room had been locked since the accident, but Elias opened it with a key. Lily followed him inside. On the desk stood a framed photograph Lily had never seen. Her father was younger, perhaps 25, standing beside a woman with dark hair and a crooked smile. Mara. Between them was a little boy holding the red wooden bird. Lily stepped closer. Who is he? Elias looked at the photograph for a long moment. I was hoping your father would tell you himself. He didn't. No. Was he my brother? Elias closed the folder. Tomorrow, you'll hear some answers. Not all of them will be easy. Is Mara coming? He did not answer quickly enough. Lily turned the frame over. A date was written on the back, along with 3 words in her father's handwriting. Keep him safe. The next morning, the courthouse was crowded. Celia wore a dark suit. Grant carried papers. Denise checked her phone. Lily sat beside Elias, her legs not touching the floor. Across the aisle, Celia's attorney placed a hand over a document as though protecting it from the air. The judge entered, and everyone stood. Judge Miriam Cole looked first at Lily, then at the adults around her. "This is not a contest for property," she said. "It is a guardianship hearing involving a minor child. Anyone who forgets that will be reminded." Grant leaned toward Celia. "We know." The judge looked at him. "Mr. Vale, I was not speaking to you." Elias rose. "Your Honor, Mr. Thomas Hart left a sealed testamentary trust, a guardianship petition, and a separate letter to be opened only in this courtroom." Grant's attorney stood. "We object to the timing. The family has not had adequate opportunity to review." "Your client had 3 weeks," Judge Cole interrupted. "3 weeks?" Lily whispered. Elias glanced at her. "The documents were filed before your father died. The first file was Thomas's will. The house would go to Lily, held in trust until she was 25. The university received his books, and a small account went to the church pantry. Nothing went to Celia, Grant, or Denise." The courtroom stirred. Grant's face tightened. "That cannot be the final version." "It is," Elias said. "Thomas promised me the house." "Your father promised many things," Celia murmured. "Don't start." The judge tapped her pen. "Enough." Then Elias placed the red wooden bird on the table. Lily stared at it. She had not realized he had taken it from her pocket. "Why did you bring that?" she asked. "Because your father left a message attached to it." He turned the bird over. Beneath the chipped paint, a thin brass plate had been set into the wood. Elias unscrewed it and removed a folded strip of paper. Lily knew the handwriting before he read a word. "For my daughter, when the family decides she is alone." Her breath caught. Elias continued. "Lily, if this letter is being read, then the people who once benefited from my silence have decided to take control of your life. They will call it protection. Do not believe a word that asks you to surrender your memory." Celia stood. "This is outrageous." The judge raised one hand. "Sit down." Thomas's letter described a night 12 years earlier when Mara had arrived at his house carrying an infant boy. The child's name was Noah. His mother, Thomas wrote, had died after childbirth. His father had disappeared before the boy was born. Mara had been the baby's legal guardian, but she was being threatened by someone who wanted access to a trust left by the child's grandmother. Lily looked at the photograph in her mind. The little boy held the red bird. Thomas had hidden Noah in a foster placement under another surname while he gathered evidence. Mara had agreed to leave town so the people searching for the child would follow her instead. Thomas promised to bring her back when it was safe, but he never did. A sound escaped Celia, not quite a sob, and not quite a laugh. "You told me he was gone," Lily said. Celia's lips parted. "You told me Mara left because she didn't care." Celia looked toward the judge. Thomas was unstable. He became obsessed with that woman and that child. "Which woman?" Elias asked. Grant's attorney objected, but Judge Cole allowed the question. Elias opened another file. Mara Bell was not a stranger. She was Thomas's research assistant. She was also the person who discovered that Grant Vale had been diverting money from Thomas's legal aid fund. Grant pushed back from the table. "That's a lie." "Then you'll enjoy the bank records." The documents showed payments through Denise's consulting company, forged signatures, and a settlement Thomas had been preparing to file. The final transfer occurred 2 days before the accident. Lily watched Grant's hands. He had stopped wearing the large watch. "Did you kill him?" she asked. The courtroom went still. Elias reached for her, but Lily pulled away. Grant looked at her as if she had become someone else. "No," he said. "No, I didn't." "Then why did you take his money?" I was going to return it. Later, he stared at the floor. The judge ordered a recess. People began speaking all at once, but Lily heard only the rain against the courthouse windows. Elias led her down a corridor toward a small waiting room. Inside, someone had placed a paper cup of hot chocolate beside a chair. Mara stood near the window. She looked older than Lily remembered, rain darkening her coat. She held a small boy's knitted hat. Lily stopped. Neither of them moved. Mara looked at the red wooden bird. He kept it. You gave it to him? To your father. He carved it for Noah. But Noah gave it to you. Where is Noah? Mara swallowed. At school. Is he the boy in the photograph? Yes. Lily took one step closer. Why didn't you come back? Mara opened her mouth, then closed it. She rubbed the hat between her fingers. Because I was afraid, she said. Of what? That I would come back too late. That your father would hate me. That you would. Lily's voice broke. You could have written. I did. Where were they? Your aunt intercepted them. Mara reached into her coat and removed a bundle of envelopes tied with blue thread. The edges were worn from being carried. On each one, Lily's name was written in a hand that leaned slightly to the left. Lily did not take them. You knew where I was? I knew where your father kept you safe. Mara's eyes filled, but she kept her hands at her sides. I thought staying away was the only way to keep you safe. Lily looked toward the door. Everyone says that when they hurt me. Mara nodded. They do. That answer hurt more than an argument would have. Lily picked up the first envelope. It was addressed for her 7th birthday. The second was for Christmas. The third had a child's drawing inside, a crooked house beneath a yellow sun. He drew it after Thomas told him you like birds. Does he know about me? He knows he has a sister. Lily lowered the drawing. I'm not his sister. Mara whispered, you are if you want to be. Before Lily could answer, a thin boy with a green backpack appeared in the doorway, holding a paper bag. Mara, he said, the teacher said I could leave early. His eyes settled on Lily. You have the bird. Lily held it tighter. It was my father's. No, it's mine. Noah thought about that. Okay. He extended the paper bag. I brought you a cinnamon roll. They had 2. Lily stared at the bag. Why? Because Mara said you might be hungry. I don't know you. I know. They returned to court after lunch. The judge had reviewed the bank records and ordered an investigation. Grant's attorney requested an emergency guardianship order, arguing that Mara had abandoned Lily and had no legal standing. Elias presented the letters, the photograph, and a sealed report from a private investigator. He also called Lily's former teacher, Mrs. Alvarez, who had kept copies of notes Thomas sent to the school. Mrs. Alvarez's voice trembled as she spoke. Thomas asked me to watch for anyone who came to collect Lily without his written permission. He was worried about her aunt. Celia's attorney rose. Did Mr. Hart ever name Maribel as a guardian? No. Did he ever say he wanted Mara to raise Lily? Mrs. Alvarez looked at Lily. He said he wanted Lily to grow up with people who told her the truth. The attorney paused. That is not the same thing. No, Mrs. Alvarez replied. It's better. Then Elias opened Thomas's final letter, addressed to the court. Celia covered her mouth. The lawyer's voice hardened as he reached the last paragraph. If I die before the matter is resolved, I leave my property to Lily, but I leave my evidence to the court. Let my relatives discover that the house they wanted was never the inheritance. The inheritance is the truth they spent years trying to bury. For the first time, Lily understood the title of the letter, written across its envelope in Thomas's hand. My final revenge. It was not revenge that destroyed them. It was proof. The hearing continued for 3 days. Grant admitted to the theft. Denise blamed him, then admitted she had helped falsify invoices. Celia refused to answer until Elias produced the recording made beneath the wooden bird's brass plate. When the judge asked Celia why she had lied, Celia stared at Lily for a long time. Because Thomas chose strangers, she said. He chose that woman. He chose a child who wasn't even his. He made me feel invisible. Lily touched the edge of the table. So you made me invisible too? Celia's face collapsed in a way Lily had never seen. She looked down at her hands. I didn't know how to love you without punishing him. No, Celia said. It isn't. Mara was granted temporary guardianship pending a home study. Lily would not return to Celia's house. She would live with Mara and Noah in a small apartment above a florist until the trust was arranged. Outside the courthouse, the rain had stopped. Reporters waited near the steps, but Elias guided them through a side entrance. Lily carried the photograph. Noah carried the wooden bird. They had decided it belonged to both of them for now. The first weeks were awkward. Mara forgot the bathroom light. Lily forgot to say when she was angry. Noah hid beneath the table when Lily raised her voice. One evening, Lily found him there with the bird beside his knee. Are you hiding? She asked. No, you're under the table. I'm thinking. About what? Whether you hate me. Lily sat on the floor. The tiles were cold through her pajamas. I don't hate you. Do you like me? Sometimes. Noah nodded. That's fair. She took the bird from him. Did my father really carve this for you? He made the wings too big. He was bad at birds. He was good at stories. Lily held the bird between them. What story did he tell you about me? Noah looked toward the kitchen, where Mara was washing dishes. He said your laugh sounded like a spoon falling in a drawer. At Christmas, the apartment smelled of cinnamon, wet wool, and the florist's pine branches stored in the hallway. Mara bought a small tree from the market. Lily hung paper birds on it, each one folded from pages of Thomas's old legal pad. Noah placed the wooden bird at the top. It's crooked, Lily said. It's flying, he answered. Mara stood beside the window holding a wrapped present. She had tried 3 times to write Lily's name on it and had crossed out each version. Lily accepted it after dinner. Inside was a silver necklace with a small brass key. It opened your father's desk, Mara said. He gave it to me before I left. Why didn't you use it? Because I was waiting for him to ask me to come home. Lily touched the key. He should have. Yes. Lily put on the necklace. You can come home now. Mara turned away, but not before Lily saw her press a fist to her mouth. Lily opened her milk carton. Is it true you draw horses with 6 legs? Sophie's eyebrows rose. Who told you? I saw your notebook. That was one time. Then don't ask me one-time questions. Sophie looked offended, but the next day she sat beside Lily again. For the school's winter ceremony, Mrs. Alvarez asked Lily to read a short passage about family. Lily said no. Then she thought of Thomas's letter and the sentence about truth. She agreed, but only if Noah could attend. The church bells rang that afternoon, the same bells that had sounded over the funeral. Lily stood at the front beside a row of children holding candles. Noah sat in the first pew with Mara. The red wooden bird rested on the lectern. Lily unfolded her paper. Family is not always the person who shares your blood, she read. Sometimes it is the person who leaves the light on. Sometimes it is the person who comes back and tells you they were afraid. Sometimes it is a child who brings you half a cinnamon roll because he doesn't know what else to offer. Noah rubbed his missing tooth. Lily glanced at Mara. Family is not perfect. It is the place where the truth is allowed to stay. Her voice shook on the final sentence, but she finished. Afterward, Celia waited near the church doors. She had been permitted supervised visits, though Lily had not attended any. Celia carried a box wrapped in plain brown paper. I found these in the attic, she said. They belong to you. Lily opened the box. Inside were birthday cards, school certificates, and a tiny yellow sweater folded with care. Beneath them lay the letters Mara had written over the years, every one unopened. You kept them. Celia nodded. I kept everything. Why bring them now? Because keeping them was another way of pretending they were mine. Lily looked at the woman who had corrected her collar, silenced her questions, and stood in a courtroom while the truth dismantled their family. Are you sorry? Celia's eyes filled. Every morning. That's not enough. I know. Lily closed the box. I'm not ready to see you. Celia nodded. She did not argue. That was the first gift she had given Lily without taking something back. Spring came slowly. Mara found work at a legal clinic, and Noah joined Lily's class for an afternoon reading program. They argued about pencils and blankets. They also learned each other's silences. On the anniversary of Thomas's death, Lily went to the park alone. Rain had begun again, thin and patient. She sat on the bench near the pond and held the photograph inside her coat. The boy in it was Noah. The woman was Mara. Her father was young enough to believe he could save everyone by keeping one's secret. Mara found her there. I brought tea, she said. I'm not cold. I brought it anyway. She sat at the far end of the bench. For a while, they watched ducks cut dark lines through the gray water. Did he suffer? Lily asked. Mara did not pretend not to understand. The accident was quick. Were you there? No. Did he call you? Mara looked at the rain on her hands. He left a voice message. I listened to it once. Why only once? Because he sounded tired. Lily held out her hand. Do you still have it? Mara took out her phone. The recording was short. Thomas's voice came through the small speaker, rough with exhaustion. Mara, if Lily asks, tell her I tried. Tell her trying is not the same as getting it right. And tell Noah the bird was never meant to stay in one house. The message ended with a breath. Lily stared at the pond. He knew. He knew he had failed you. He made a lot of people hurt. Yes. Do you still love him? Mara's thumb moved over the phone screen. Some days I love the man he was. Some days I love the man he wanted to be. Some days I am angry that both of them died before I could decide. Lily nodded, because that was the kind of answer she could believe. The next Christmas, they visited Thomas's grave after church. Snow rested on the stone beneath a clear sky. Lily brought the red wooden bird. Noah brought a cinnamon roll divided into 3 pieces. Lily placed the bird at the base of the grave. You said it shouldn't stay in one house, Noah reminded her. It won't. She had arranged for it to be displayed at the university library, beside a copy of Thomas's final letter. The small brass plate would remain visible, not as a monument to revenge, but as a warning about what silence could do when people called it love. Mara stood close enough that their shoulders touched. Do you think he would be disappointed in us? Noah asked. Lily looked at the stone, then at the 2 people beside her. He would probably say we hung the bird crooked. Noah laughed. Mara did too, quietly at first. Lily heard the sound and remembered what her father had written, that her laugh sounded like a spoon falling in a drawer. She had carried that sentence for months, believing it was proof he had known her better than anyone. Now she understood something else. Being known by one person did not mean being loved by only one person. The bells began above them. Snow moved through the air like ash turning white. Lily slipped her hand into Mara's, and Noah took her other hand, gripping 2 fingers as if he still expected her to disappear. She did not promise that nothing would ever change. She did not promise that the past could be repaired or that forgiveness would arrive on schedule. She only squeezed his hand and kept walking toward the church lights, where a place had been saved for them. Behind them, Thomas Hart's grave remained beneath the snow, holding the truth at last. Ahead, the doors opened, warm voices rose, and somewhere near the altar a child began to sing the wrong words with complete confidence. Lily smiled. Then she went inside.